Hello, my name is Gabby and welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here then welcome to my channel, and today we are going to be talking about 5 of my coziest, most adorable, most wholesome book recommendations. Basically just things that made me feel happy, made me feel comforted, even when not much else would in some cases, because things are more upsetting than usual at the time I'm filming this video and my brain just kind of needs this right now. I will have the content warnings I can find linked down below in the description along with links to some resources, and let's go ahead and just get into it. And first up, we have Act Your Age, Eve Brown by Talia Hibbert. And this follows our main character, Eve, whose life seems to always go wrong no matter how much she wants to make it go right. She's basically given up on even trying, but when her parents draw the line, Eve is forced to go out and prove herself, which brings us to our other main character, Jacob, who is the owner of a bed and breakfast. He expects nothing less than perfection, so when Eve randomly shows up one day to interview for a job, he promptly shoots her down. That is until she accidentally hits him with her car, leaving him with both a broken arm and an understaffed B&B. He hates everything about Eve having to infiltrate his space in an attempt to help, but it isn't long before their animosity towards each other begins to change into something else. I really love both of our main characters here, and I love the individual character growth. There is a lot of it. There's also a lot of conversation about finding your path and valuing yourself and what you've accomplished, and I of course really love that. I also really love these two together as well, because this is very much a rom-com, and it is one that is set in a very cozy, very beautiful sounding bed and breakfast. It is also an occasionally very cheesy rom-com as well, which I do think worked in this book's favor, made it more fun, and I love that along with the individual character growth, they also really helped each other grow as well, and overall this was just a really fun and heartwarming read, which just makes sense for this entire series. And on that note, the other two books in the series are definitely like honorable mentions for this video. This one just happened to be my coziest, so I went with it. Next up, we have Heartstopper by Alice Oseman, and this follows the story of our main character Charlie, who is an openly gay high schooler, and he's kind of the overthinking type. And then this also follows our other main character Nick, who is like a cheerful and soft-hearted rugby player. These two become friends very quickly once they meet, and Charlie is falling hard for Nick but just isn't sure if he has a chance. I almost just kind of don't even know what to say about the series at this point that hasn't already been said, but my heart just will not let me not include them in this video. And I think Nick and Charlie are extremely adorable together, and even though the series does have its angst and it does have its serious topics, it also really knows how to celebrate queerness and just show off a handful of wholesome characters and romances. I love seeing all of the friendships as well, and just how much that they love and that they care for and support one another. It makes me so happy, and it always leaves me feeling safe and comforted in some way, whether it's the graphic novels, the light novels, or the live action adaptation. Which, from a graphic novel standpoint, I also do think that this series has some really cute art and just some really amazing panels and imagery overall. And yeah, this is just one that I'm really glad and grateful that it just even exists. Next up, we have Skip and Loafer by Misaki Takamatsu, and this follows our main character Misumi, who comes from a small country town but is chasing her dreams in a large Tokyo high school, where she finds out that the social norms of city high schoolers are more out of her element than she originally thought. I have a friend who once told me that the way I talk about the Skip and Loafer anime is very similar to the way that I talk about Heartstopper, and yeah, I do think that is probably going to be correct today. In a way, at least, because this is yet another series that is filled with extremely adorable and wholesome characters, and I also really love their comedy. They're very charming, just kind of all around, and I just can't put into words accurately how much I love the friendships and the dynamics in this series, because they are some of the best that I have ever read. And it's also another series I feel like really knows how to balance all of the fun and adorableness with the drama and the angst. And I love seeing all of the character growth. I love seeing how our characters stumble but pick themselves back up and move forward, and I love how they all are inspired by each other and again support one another. And it's also a series that really does make you feel for the characters and all that they have gone through and are going through. I have felt all of the emotions while reading this series, not even just for like the series as a whole, but there have been single volumes of this series that have done that to me. Everything in here feels so smart and so thoughtful to me, and if you want to hear me compliment this series more or go more in depth about my thoughts on this, I do have a full review up on my channel where I actually do that, and I will have that video linked down below. But but this is definitely one of, if not my biggest comfort read, and just a huge favorite all around. Next up, we have So This Is Ever After by F.T. Lukens, and this follows our main character after he completes his prophecy of saving the kingdom from its evil ruler, and now he and his companions have no idea what to do with themselves. His friends convince him to take the throne until the hare can take his place until she dies, and he ends up stuck there. And now he needs a spouse before his 18th birthday, or else he will fade away into nothing. We have another rom-com here, and this is, once again, very much a rom-com, and I would even say it's a little bit formulaic, but I also do think that I found a lot of comfort with the formula that this ended up leaning into. I also just really love the characters, and we have best friends to lovers in here, which I loved even more, and that's probably my favorite part of this entire book. I described them once as like the idiots in love fanfiction tag, and I stand by that, and I love them for it. I also got really into all of the angst and the pining, which wasn't fun for my emotions, but also kind of was in a way. And the comedy is also very fun. There's a lot of good cast chemistry overall and good banter. I also really love the fairy tale-like setting and how it turns some of those tropes on their heads in really fun ways. It's not a perfect book, but it is one that I look back on with a lot of love, and it's also one of the first books that comes to my mind when I think about books that comforted me when I needed them most. Next up, we have The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches by Sangu Mandana. And this follows our main character who, as one of the few witches in Britain, has had to keep her magic a secret. But she still posts videos on the internet of her pretending to be a witch, thinking that no one would take it seriously until somebody does, and she gets invited to the Nowhere House to teach magic to 3 young witches. As she gets more comfortable with the house and its inhabitants, she feels like she finally has somewhere that she belongs, but when things get dangerous, she's going to need to decide if she's willing to risk everything for her newfound family. This is one of my more recent reads, and it's a very cozy, adorable book about witches and found family, and if you don't know, found family is one of my favorite things to read, to watch, to just have exist, etc. And I really love this one a lot, and I liked how this book handled our main character getting brought into this family, and I thought that that was really interesting, especially combined with the character growth and the trauma there. And on that note, this book does talk a lot about loneliness and self-worth and trusting others, and like you can see how many tabs that I put into this book, and most of these were all just kind of conversations surrounding those topics because there were lines in here that hit very close to home. And also the romance, because I also really love the romance in here, and I loved all of the conversations that they had with one another and just their dynamic as a whole. It made my heart do things that other romances have had to have worked very hard for. And while the atmosphere in here is very wholesome, very cozy, it also does have a darker humor to it as well when it comes to the story. And like so many of the books in this video, this one is also not a stranger to angst, and I love the way that this book wove everything together in here, and I just spent so much of this story just like pleasantly amused and charmed and relaxed. So all of that combined with like the extra emotional connection that I felt towards it, I feel like I could have read these characters for forever, and honestly I feel that way about all of the books and the characters in this video. Okay, so that is all that I have for today's video. Thank you all so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell, and answer the question that'll be around here if you want to do that, and hopefully I will see you here next time. Bye.